Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar. My name is Melina, and I'm the Product Marketing Manager for Salesforce Service Cloud. And it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Howard Lightfoot and Lo Heinzen, who are going to be delivering this webinar today. So we'll be talking about streamlining operations across the entire service chain. Before we get into the webinar, just a couple housekeeping items I want to address. One is we'll be talking about a lot of exciting technology on this webinar, but please make all of your purchasing decisions based on what we have generally available to the public. And also, a great part of this webinar is we're very excited to have it be open dialogue and have time for Q&A at the end. So please feel free to use the question box in the GoToWebinar panel. And we'll be monitoring the questions throughout the webinar, and we'll save them for the end. So don't worry, your questions will be addressed, but we're going to wait till the end to get through everything. And so without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Howard Lightfoot of Cranfield University to kick off the webinar.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Howard Lightfoot from Cranfield University. I've been with the university probably about 10 years now, after spending around 30 years in the manufacturing business, and I've been looking at the topic of servitization and product service systems within Cranfield. What I want to do this morning is just explain what servitization is about and how the technology-enabled service delivery is able to be delivered from that. My first slide is just indicating the change in the manufacturing landscape, a few pretty little pictures there, but basically what's happened in manufacturing over the years, well, we've actually, at one stage, manufacturers used to make things for us and service companies did things for us. Now it's the boundary is getting rather blurred, and it became very difficult for pure manufacturing companies in the early part of this century to compete effectively with offshore production and the cost of materials. So it hasn't been surprising over recent years that more and more manufacturers have found the best means of competing in their markets was to provide a portfolio of integrated products and services. So that's products that with services wrapped around them in one way or another. But this is now turned into a conscious and explicit strategy for manufacturers, with the provision of product-centric services providing a main differentiating factor in the marketplace. And it's this that has become known as the servitization of manufacturing. So the provision of product-centric services. Companies who decide to adopt that sort of strategy, however, must transform their organizational structures and process in order to become successful. You can't approach servitization with the same strategy as you approach pure product manufacturer. And in fact, for over 2 decades now, academic literature has encouraged manufacturers to go downstream and move towards the customer's end of the supply chain and add value by integrating services with their products. And basically what this has done is encourage a move towards the aftermarket, where for manufacturers the installed product base can be orders of magnitude greater than their annual product sales. For example, I think automotive, it's 13 to 1. Trains, it's about 20 odd to 1. Tractors, 30, but in the aerospace industry, it's something like 150 to 1. So for every plane built in the current year, there's 150 out there to be looked after by their original product supplier. What we've done at Cranfield is undertaken a number of in-depth case studies, and these companies we did the case studies with were a spectrum of organizations: Rolls-Royce Aerospace, the aero engine side of that, MAN Bus and Truck, the German truck company based in UK, Caterpillar in the States, Alstom Train Life Services on their West Coast main line and London Underground services, and also the Xerox company, which is I think is known as a classic servitized organization. So what we did was studied these companies, and together with surveys and other previous studies, we put together an assessment of how we felt that these servitized organizations arrange themselves. We put together this in the book that my colleague Tim Baines and I wrote, and basically did an assessment of what the companies were doing. We went back to these organizations and said that this is our take on what you're doing, and we got agreement, and then wrote what we thought was happening in the servitized world. So this slide here talks about competitive strategy. Essentially, organizations take leadership positions in their industries, and they've done so by narrowing their business focus, not broadening it. And they focus on either delivering superiority in operations excellence, product leadership, or customer intimacy. Operations excellence obviously is whereby the little microcar there shows what you have as a cost-effective, best total cost solution to the customer, a good quality car made efficiently and effectively for a low price. Product leadership is demonstrated by the Mini there, high technology car produced by BMW, and that's their stance. What we're really talking about in terms of servitization is the customer intimacy approach to business. This is where we combine this detailed customer knowledge with operational flexibility and create the best total solution. Now clearly you can excel in one of these, but you've got to at least be at threshold performance in the other two. So excelling in one and being underperforming in the other two really doesn't get you anywhere. But basically we're looking at organizations who have got a key thrust in the area of customer intimacy with their competitive strategy. This slide is just demonstrating the traditional purchase of a product, where you've got the factory over on the right-hand side there, manufactures the product, sells it to the customer on the left there, and the customer uses the product, and really, having paid for it, he looks after the product. If he needs consumables, he gets it. He probably selects it on his own and disposes it on his own. The manufacturer receives the cash for producing the product and passing it to the customer, and then provides some technology and service support. Yellow background there is showing the fact that the really onus of this transactional type of business model is with the customer. So it's the product is passed across, and then the responsibility rests mostly with the customer. This slide is showing what I call the purchase for capability or outcome. And it reverses the roles really. The manufacturer still makes the product, and the customer acquires the product for use and pays for its use or for the capability or outcome it delivers. And the onus then of monitoring the product, servicing it, making sure consumers are available, and maybe disposing of the product at the end of its life are firmly in that yellow band there with the manufacturer, so that the onus is now moved more towards the manufacturer, who is now getting paid as the customer uses his products. This is the servitized world, and this is the emerging picture that we have of that world, in that it's quite a complex. It's not a pass-over-the-wall sale of a product now. You've got the manufacturer and the product side, the suppliers, and partners to the manufacturer who can supply services to the customer. But basically, it's not just the touch points that you see in the middle there. There are far more touch points in this type of servitized business model, where at each of the touch points, the customer will have some sort of experience when he's using the product, acquiring it or whatever, signing a contract. And each of these experiences on the customer will probably send a demand signal back into the ecosystem that is supplying the product that is being used and is bought on the basis of its capability or availability or the service it can deliver. So it's a much more complex arrangement between the customer and the ecosystem that supplies the products, and it's very much a relationship-based business model as opposed to a transactional business model. What we found in these businesses, and we looked at the various types of the businesses, is that there are a range of services that we could identify. The base services there that you can see really are focused on product provision. So it's really the old transactional world there. You buy the product and you use it, and you can get spares and maybe some service and repair off the provider. Intermediate level service offer a bit more to the customer in that you may want to train the customer in its use. You'll offer overhaul, maybe a help desk, some field service, and even monitoring the condition of the product. But again, these services are fairly focused on maintaining product condition. At the top there, the advanced services are really intend to enhance the capability delivered through the product's use, and it's an outcome-based type approach. And you can see there we've got ideas of people who have a pay-per-use activity. It can be fleet management, it can be availability, and I'll give you examples of these things, or it can be providing a total integrated solution to the customer. What does happen, in fact, with these, that you find that as you move up from base to intermediate services from the product provider's point of view, the product-centric service provision becomes more complex. It does allow the provider to take more responsibility for the product in use, as we saw in the previous slides. It will provide some customer lock-in in terms of the more you do for the customer. If you do it well, he'll stay with you longer, and it's more difficult to move to another customer if you're not just buying on price alone. And so it does mean that the supplier in these cases adopts more responsibility and risk. So if you're offering an availability contract and you're being paid on that basis, then you have to be sure that you can deliver against that and not default on your promise, because in actual fact what you get paid depends on that. It's not a break-fix type thing where you sell the product and if it breaks you fix it and get paid for that. Those are the old days, and there's not much of that around in the modern servitized world. So moving on to this slide, enabling technology. One of the things about all the organizations we've studied, the big ones and the smaller ones there, they have technology systems that are focused on informing and advancing actions on maintenance, repair and use. So what they do, they're enabled to monitor the product in use. It sense critical systems and subsystems. They've got transducers on board, they can store data, they can generate fault codes, but then they transmit this data periodically to a home base, central database, central control system, as base data can be, or fault code data, and it comes as from satellite, cellular phone, GPRS, radio, internet. All these transmission systems are used to transmit data from the product to the product manufacturer and its control base. And you can compile historical records with hard and soft storage and refer to these. But in essence, the diagnosis and predictive behavior tends to be done at the moment in control centers using real people who have knowledge of the product and access historical records and assess what might happen to the product in use. And then the response side of this is to how do we take appropriate action, knowing what's going on with the product in the field. Can we get repairs done quickly? Do we know what's going on? And so in this day and age, things have moved from just reactive processes to proactive processes and are looking at predictive maintenance and prognostics. But all these companies use an enabling technology system which contains monitoring, transmission, storage, analysis, and an active response system to keep the customer going. Excuse me. Let me look at some industrial case studies for you. I'll go through these quite quickly. Rolls-Royce Civil Aerospace is a classic example. They sell power by the hour. Rolls-Royce Total Care Package offers an airline a price per flown hour, and it's in long-term contracts, 10 years plus, with defined patterns of operation. So they agree where the plane is going to be flown, i.e. is it short haul or long haul, and if it's short haul, it'll be one price. If it's long haul, it'll be another, because takeoffs and landings are less with long haul. Also, harsh environments, landing in deserts and the like, the price of that contract is tailored to the use of the engine on the aircraft. What it does is give the airline peace of mind. It knows what it's going to pay and what its cost of its engines are going to be with certainty. In the case of Alstom Transport, we've studied two of their areas. Both are availability contracts. One's on the West Coast main lines, where they have actually now 56 Pendolino trains running. They do 1,000 miles a day. They have to have daily services, but there are long interval services and the like. They can fix these between about 11 o'clock in the evening, 5 in the morning, by trains ending up at one of 5 destinations throughout the UK. But the fundamental KPI from a customer's perspective is lost passenger hours. In other words, they are paid on availability trains. 47 of those trains have to be available to full hotel standard every day, and they have not got to lose any passenger hours. That means if the train stops or is delayed for the train's fault, not the track or anything else, it's penalised. The same applies to the underground trains, where they contract to have 91 trains available, 3 spares available every day, and in this case they have things like a mean distance between failure of 14,000 kilometres per train. Again, fundamental KPI is lost passenger hours. If the train stops at Euston on Friday at 5 o'clock, it's bad news, and the penalty for Alstom is much higher than a train failing at Edgware Road on 6 o'clock on Sunday evening. But again, the contracts are around availability of the train or underground. Xerox is a classic example of an outfit moving from a manufacturer to a document management company. They no longer like to be called a manufacturer. They are a technology-driven service business. And again, they reduce the total cost of ownership for their customers using pay per click. They undertake complete management of print processes, which they do for people like Reuters, and achieve those contracts by offering a 25% reduction in cost for the same performance. And that's what they have to deliver to their customer. So what we've got here is not just high-value capital actually that you can look at as servitization. You've got on the left-hand side there TomTom, do a deal with MotorQuote. They provide information from the driving behavior so that MotorQuote can give preferential insurance rates. On the right-hand side, American football players, the helmet manufacturers implanted sensors into helmets which monitor the head impact on collisions. Apparently there are thousands of these here, very, very high G impact. But not only do they monitor, they transmit data to line-side recording equipment where doctors can assess whether a player should be taken off because of the impact of the industry. So this sensor data, you can collect it almost anywhere at any time for very little cost now. And business models can be fine-tuned to take advantage of the receipt of behavioral data and the like. If we move on to the IoT, big vogue subject now. Physical world is becoming a type of information system. More objects are becoming embedded with sensors and gaining the ability to communicate. The resulting information networks promise to create new business models, improve processes, and reduce costs. In what's called the Internet of Things, sensors, actuators embedded in physical products, from roads to pacemakers, and they are linked through wired and wireless networks, often using the same protocols that connect the Internet. They churn out huge volumes of data. When objects can both sense the environment and communicate, they become tools of understanding complexity. The phrase Internet of Things reflects the growing number of smart connected products and highlights the new opportunities they can represent. The Internet, whether involving people or things, is a mechanism for transmitting information. What makes smart connected products fundamentally different is not the Internet, but the changing nature of the product itself. Connectivity serves a dual purpose in that it allows information exchange between the product and its operating environment, whilst enabling some of a product's functions to exist outside the physical device in maybe a product cloud. So this is just a summary of the Internet of Things. It's still in its early stages. It enables real-time data collection from assets in the field. More objects become embedded with sensors and gain the ability to communicate. And the resulting information networks promise to create new business models by understanding what's happening out there with the product. And it's no longer the industrially manufactured product that's the focus, but rather the service that the users access through having that device, not even owning the device, but it being available to them. So what we've got now, smart products, these create new opportunities and reasons for organizations to transform their value propositions and address completely different markets and refine customer segments. They're complex systems, combine hardware, sensors, microprocessors, software, data storage, and connectivity. Made possible by device miniaturization, improvements in processing power and data storage capacity at ever-reducing cost. And this combines with the benefits of the establishment of communication protocol standards and a wide-ranging wireless connectivity. So what are smart products? We've got physical components, as you might expect, engines, wheels, and the like in transport systems. Smart components, microprocessors, sensors, controls, and connectivity via ports, antenna, or wireless connections. What they can give you is the ability to monitor the product in use, to remotely control the product, to optimize its operation by monitoring what's going on and controlling what's going on, and even delivers a level of autonomy whereby the product can be controlled remotely and even be repaired remotely. Other examples of servitized products, if you like, simple examples these, not all high-value cabinets. Tesla Motors, this is a smart car with an intelligent management system. It monitors itself, can tell you when it needs repair. Software updates can manage the system. Philips have a lighting system that provides users with a connected device for home automation. And back in the capital equipment world, Jury's Global's longwall mining system operates autonomously underground, overseen by a mine control center on the surface with no intervention unless necessary. You've now got devices that are glucose monitoring with wearable technology, glucose sensor connected to a cell phone, and even tennis rackets, Babolat, where you've got a smart product that looks like a tennis racket, but it's actually a useful training system which links to the cell phone. New technology infrastructure is needed for this. You've got the product cloud, you've got the product itself, you've got external information systems, business integration systems, and you need security. You don't want anybody or everybody getting access to your products and use in the field. There's quite a drive at the moment on things like cyber security. But up in the cloud there, you can see you've got applications, platforms, product database. A lot of functionality of the product can be kept in the cloud. But certain aspects in time-critical events, obviously product applications and activity is done on the product itself. You can't afford to have a safety-critical product failing because of an internet connection or a wireless connection failure. So what does this do for us in terms of industries? Basically, it redefines boundaries. You start with a truck, simple old truck, and it's then moves to a smart truck. Why? Because they have things like CAN buses on them nowadays. There's all sorts of information flowing around it, and then you can connect the information off that CAN bus by some smart connections, usually cellular these days, back to base, and can create a smart product. These smart products can then be integrated into fleet management systems and the like, so you have a product system. So instead of being in the business of selling trucks, you're now moving towards the business of being in fleet management. So in summary, we've got servitization. It's a business model adopted by manufacturers to move from selling products to selling product-centric services, which provide customers with capabilities or outcomes as they use the product and not necessarily own the product. IoT enables the data collection from assets, and the way that data is treated and used, the resulting information can create new business models. Industry boundaries are now not so well defined, forcing many companies to ask themselves a fundamental question: what business I am in? Am I in the business of selling trucks, or am I in fleet management? Thank you for your attention. That's my presentation today. I'm now going to hand over to Lo Hinson from Salesforce, who's going to give their take on the servitization, IoT, and the sort of areas that we've touched on. Thank you for your time.
Thanks very much, Howard, for that your view on these elements as part of the service chain, and also thanks for sharing your wealth of experience with the audience today. So, as Howard said, my name is Lo Hinson. I'm responsible for Service Cloud in manufacturing in the UK. Although today we're talking about our experience with service and some of the elements that Howard discussed around servitization and IoT as well. But before we do that, I just wanted to talk about the company itself, Salesforce. Most of you may have heard of Salesforce. Salesforce has been around for about 18 years. We've been called Innovator of the Decade by Forbes, being best employer or best company to work for the last 8 years or so. And we've had a continuous growth in our revenues as well, based upon our business model and growing client base. But that's all about Salesforce itself. What we admire most as a company is our customers that are innovating continuously by using our products. They're disrupting markets with our platform, and they're transforming industries at the same time. So what we have done together with our customers is really build this amazing company and a community that will contribute almost 400 billion in gross domestic product impact by 2020, and also will create about 2 million jobs by the end of 2020. So our customers are really key to us and our success. That's why we really entered into this age of the customer. And following what Howard discussed today, we see an ever-changing kind of customer climate, where product selling with features and functions was the way forward about 20 years or even 10 years ago. We're now in a climate where the customer really demands what you will need to offer next. So that really goes hand in hand with the servitization model. So really moving from a product-centric organization to a business that's focused on service models. And today we have we live in a world with billions of connected things. Think about tablets, sensors, watches. Basically everyone and everything is connected. So all of these connections and interactions create a great opportunity, not just for Salesforce, but for all of our customers as well. And this shift has been fueled by a number of changes in customer profile. So what we really see is that today's environment is more social, more mobile, more connected, and the result is really a massive opportunity to engage with customers 24/7 in a much more personalized way and on channels that are chosen by the customer. So and also on devices that are chosen by customers. Customers' expectations are extremely high, and in every service experience, with each company really needs to be effortless. So the customer needs to be able to do business with you easily without any barriers. It needs to be easy and be done on a daily basis. So let's explore the results of these expectations and the responses from businesses. IoT and servitization are able to bridge the gap to these expectations. So IoT, from an IoT perspective, through delivering of new channels, and think about machine to machine, maybe even using bots. And servitization is really the move away from products to really start focusing on selling service with the customer at a center point. So let's look at these two subjects in a little bit more detail in the next couple of slides. IoT, you can really see IoT as a new channel for your service business. Service is not just delivered by people anymore. If you think about call centers and think about the inclusion of bots, bots can take or can provide a lot of productivity and efficiency gains in a call center, where with pre-scripted questions they can gain a basic understanding before passing on information to a human being that can then deal with the case on a much easier and quicker and a more efficient basis. From a machine-to-machine perspective, you can collect data that triggers actions in the back office, in the service organization, in the call center, but also can be much more advanced, where a machine can actually trigger an activity to get a technician to be sent out to check the asset and to repair it if it's required. Besides IoT, we have servitization, and what we see in servitization is that business leaders are really redefining their companies around their customers. The question then becomes, how do you know what the customer is actually experiencing with your product? Historically, as you can see on the left-hand side, manufacturers have gathered data around their own internal operations to constantly drive efficiencies at lower costs. But also those leaders now need to acknowledge that a gap exists between how they think and how their customers think, which you can see on the right-hand side. So customers really expect a highly personalized engagement from companies that they do business with. They also expect those companies to understand what they want and deliver it to them in this personalized, intelligent way. So how can we, how can leaders get closer to their customers? Now think about the servitization environment. Servitization really can close that gap. Servitization can move selling a product to selling a product service enabled system. So selling services around your products or selling a product as a service. So think about moving from products and outputs to solutions and outcomes. Think about from moving or in the world of transactions to really creating relationships with your customer, where you understand 360 what the customer is really about and how you can improve their experience with your products. And think about moving from a supplier-oriented world to, seeing your supplier as a partner, a network partner in this case. We're not only focused on elements anymore, we're looking at the whole ecosystem that's involved in selling a service to customers. So with these new expectations, companies need also the right technology and processes in place to deliver that first-rate customer service. It's all about transforming the service delivery model with a customer engagement platform, as we call it. And that's exactly what Salesforce can offer you. So we call our customer engagement platform, call it our customer success platform, because it's all about your success, but also your customer's success. And the foundation of that platform is all about data from every source that can really power intelligent apps on any kind of device. On top of that, we see the Einstein layer, and Einstein is all about adding intelligence to your environment. So all of the artificial intelligence in Salesforce can become part of the platform. On top of Einstein, we see the Lightning component. Lightning makes it easier for partners, IT departments, and everyone in the ecosystem to build applications and to drive business value. And on top of that, most of you may be familiar with this, we see our leading business applications as well. People are familiar with sales, service, and marketing, but we also have other cloud environments that can add additional capabilities around community, so interacting better with your customers and your partners. Apps, commerce, we have IoT cloud, and also Quip for collaboration and the apps exchange that can allow you to interact with your partner ecosystem. So let's look at the Service Cloud component in a little bit more detail. This is Salesforce for Service, and it's been seen as the world's first intelligent customer service application or platform that's powered by the Einstein capabilities. It's all about personalizing all of the service conversations. It's about making your agents, your managers, but also mobile workers more productive. It's about making your agents smarter and your customers happier with artificial intelligence. And think about things like discovering insights about past cases or predicting case resolution time. Think about recommending the right answers to your customers, or even automate case resolutions to solve issues faster than before. You can do all of this with the connected intelligent service platform from Salesforce. But it doesn't really stop there. Salesforce is more than that. It's also about integration, and integration has always been at the heart of the Salesforce product strategy. Today we have about 4 billion transactions hitting our servers on a daily basis, and 50% of those transactions come from APIs. APIs that we've built, APIs that our partner ecosystems have built. So what we also see is that our customers are integrating Salesforce heavily into their business, making us successful an agile layer of engagement on top of their environment. So you can see that you may have a number of legacy systems that act as a systems of record, and Salesforce can really allow you to use those systems, extract data from those systems, transform that into intelligent information so that Salesforce really becomes the system of engagement. It allows you to engage through information with your customers in a much more specialized, faster, smarter, and personalized manner. So having heard Howard's story on servitization IoT and having seen the Salesforce capabilities around these subjects, what I'd like to suggest is to take a look at a client example as well. And maybe some of you have heard of KUKA already. KUKA is one of our customers that really builds industrial manufacturing robots that work in some of the world's largest auto manufacturing plants. KUKA is transforming their business from products to services as well. They're doing that by an engagement layer, or building an engagement layer for their auto customers that allows the robot to notify KUKA and also the plant operators and potential issues. So it also allows it for reordering parts, and it can identify key users patterns and more than that. The way they are doing this is by delivering this as a package service together with their core product. So you can see that they're innovatively redefining the business and creating new models of engagement and service delivery. Today we see with Salesforce IoT Cloud that any connected device can be paired with a fully managed suite of services, and you can wrap that device within this layer of engagement. You see that for our customers and us, again, it's a massive opportunity. Companies can build an entire new relationship with their customers, and they can also create new revenue streams for their businesses. But it's not just KUKA, but many more other companies have benefited from this kind of technology. What we can see is we work with companies across different industries, in different sizes. It includes small customers like Yeti, who makes high-end coolers, and also larger global brands like General Electric. One thing these customers have all in common is 100% focus on their customers. And what our customers are accomplishing is amazing. You can see that they're driving costs out of the call center. They're making agents much more productive. They're getting answers to customers faster, and they're making their customers happier. And that all results in an increase of customer retention, and it's been measured by more than 20%, 26% on average. So a large contribution is delivered by this kind of technology. We have the technology, but we are constantly amazed also about how you, our customers, are redefining success and use innovation on top of the Salesforce platform. And that makes it truly a success, not just your success, but also our success. You know, and that's really what we are hoping to deliver to you: success through the success platform with different technologies that can enable that. So with that, and I had to go through it quite fast because time is not allowing us more today, I hope that today's session has allowed you to learn new things, capabilities and examples of companies that increase their success through embedding these kind of new business models and additional communication channels through both servitization and IoT in a service cloud environment. So I'd like to say thank you for being a great listener to today's presentation. And with that, we'd like to open the floor for questions. Nalina?
All right, hello. So we do have a few questions that have come in during the presentation. One, the first question looks like it's geared towards you, Lo. So it says, IoT is a relatively new play for Salesforce. Moving forward, does Salesforce only integrate with IoT solutions from Salesforce, or does it allow Service Cloud and other Salesforce cloud solutions to integrate with other non-Salesforce IoT platforms as well?
No, as I said before, the power of Salesforce is really the engagement capabilities, the agile layer on top of other environments as well. So yes, we have our own IoT technology. Yes, it integrates really well with the Salesforce platform for obvious reasons, but the API development and integration capabilities that Salesforce provides with other environments is still our key, one of our key strengths, and we continue to do that moving forward.
Okay, great, thank you. The next question is servitization only relevant to manufacturers of capital equipment? So it sounds like that's for you, Dr. Lightfoot.
Yeah, that's for me. The answer is no. It's not just about high-value capital equipment. I mean, the original idea of servitization of manufacturing, this move from product manufacture purely to product-centric service provision, was driven by the competition where manufacturers were competing on price alone. High-value capital equipment manufacturers were certainly able to take and adopt this strategy, but it's not just for high-value capital equipment. As you saw in the previous slide, things like TomTom and the American football helmet manufacturers have adopted a servitized approach whereby they deliver a service through their products, and that's what the customer pays for. So it's certainly not just high-value capital equipment, and the examples I gave of smart products like the Babolat tennis racket and so on, again, not just a tennis racket manufacturer now. They make tennis rackets, yes, they make smart rackets which deliver value in use to the customer. And that's the issue with product-centric services and product service systems, that they are a combination of products and services that deliver value in use, whether it's high value or capital or a normal run-of-the-mill product.
Great, thank you. And our next question is, where to start if you're an old-fashioned industrial company? Where do I find focus to start in this smart development? And that was presented during your session, Dr. Lightfoot, so that's geared towards you.
Okay, yeah, well, it's interesting to use a phrase, an old-fashioned manufacturing company. In the end of the day, what I said in the early part of the presentation, the fact that to compete, most manufacturers are having to look at what they can do outside their product, you know, in terms of delivering a service. Not just so the customer is not just buying on price alone, which, you know, with lots of companies, machine tools and the like, and things like that in Western Europe have been outperformed price-wise by the Japanese and the like. So the old manufacturers, you cannot perform just on price alone. However, the fact that you're just an old manufacturer, well, not old, but an old-fashioned manufacturer where the focus is in product manufacture, what you need to do is to look at what the competition are doing out there. What can you compete on? What value add can you deliver to the customer? What value add can you deliver in the product's use? And as I said, one of the issues is it is a strategically different approach. It's a customer-centric approach. It's not a product-centric approach. So you need to change in the organization processes, practices, procedures. People, in some respects, you need to get, customer-focused people in there. The technology now is not the issue. It's so cheap to embed sensors, to collect data, to transmit data. It's what you do with that data when you collect it or transmit it, and how you provide value add to the customer with it. So it's really a question of looking at the marketplace. And as I said, things like boundaries of markets are different, are moving. What's your product? What are you doing? Are you really in a product business, or is the business something different that is enabled by your product? I think that's the issue there.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. So that concludes the webinar. Thank you all for your participation and for asking such great questions. We will have this session recorded, and we'll be sharing it with all of you who joined us today. And feel free to reach out to us if you have any other questions related to field service, to Salesforce, or anything that Dr. Howard Lightfoot presented. So again, thank you very much, and have a wonderful Tuesday.